Today we're on the lower North Santiam River, looking at what makes the Wiseman Island Reach unique and such a fantastic salmon and steelhead habitat. Hi, my name is Bruce Zolik. I'm a fishery biologist with the U.S. Forest Service. Previously, I worked in the North Santiam River Basin for over a decade with the U.S. Bureau of Land Management. Two things make the lower North Santiam River unique. First, the river is not confined by dikes and levees and has full access to its historical floodplain and a gallery forest of cottonwood trees. As a result, it has a complex network of side channels and off-channel habitats that provide high-quality habitat for salmon and steelhead. Second, about 20% of the North Santiam Basin has unregulated flows. The Little North Santiam River is undammed and provides large amounts of gravel and cobble bed load to the lower North Santiam River. As a result, the North Santiam has abundant spawning gravels for salmon and steelhead. Come along and we'll take a closer look at this unique area. So we've made it down to the top of the Wiseman Island Reach. We're looking upstream right now at the tail out of the large pool. The thing that is really cool about this pool tail is it's got tons of beautiful spawning size gravel on it. In 2014, I did a survey through this reach and I think I had 10 steelhead reds on this tail out, probably 20 Pacific lamprey reds. This is just beautiful spawning gravels on the whole length of the pool tail. Just doesn't get any better for salmon and steelhead spawning. This is the same substrate size that's out a little further in the wetted channel. It's just hard to see with the glare on the water. Another totally unique characteristic of the lower North Santiam River, abundant spawning size gravels. They're used by salmon, steelhead, and Pacific lamprey. There's also resident trout, cutthroat trout, and rainbow trout in this reach. Just a super cool place. Here's an example of the dynamics of the river and its floodplain forest interacting. On the left side, you can see young cottonwoods and willows coming in, occupying the bar. This adds a lot of roughness to the channel at higher flows that results in shoving the river over to river left or the right side where there's a mature cottonwood gallery forest stand. So as the river moves around on its floodplain, it captures some of the older trees on eroding outside bends, and at the same time, a new forest is developing on the inside bend. And this just happens over eons. The river moves through the floodplain, alternating paths, creating unique high-quality habitats for spawning and rearing. Also, Oregon chub uses the ponded areas on the floodplain. Formerly it was an endangered species. Now some of its stronghold is the North Santiam River and its area around Wiseman Island with the off-channel pond habitats that it prefers. Another example of the dynamic interaction of gravel, wood, and the river flows. This is the side channel takeoff on river left. Look at that mounded pile of spawning gravel. At high flows, it was routing a lot of gravel into this channel. As the flows drop, it leaves these big drifts of gravel. As you go further upstream, you can see gravel's deposited up into the cottonwood and ash trees on river left. That's why you need an intact floodplain. The river does different things at different times, so it's mobilizing and moving this gravel through at high flows, and it creates the scour pools at the base of the wood that creates those great rearing pools for salmon and steelhead. This is crazy. There's salmon fry hanging in this pool on the floodplain, just downstream of the side channel takeoff. They're so small, I can't tell what species they are right now, but I can see the par marks. I know they're a salmon. This shows just the crazy, unique, fantastic habitat when you have an intact floodplain. These fish are holding in a pool scoured on a piece of wood that was racked on the point of the side channel split here. They can get in under this wood, avoid predators. Mount Jefferson's still white with snow. When the runoff comes up, these fish will move out probably into a side channel. Right now they're living large, enjoying this ponded habitat formed by the scour of the river against this wood. These fry are about 25 millimeters long, maybe 30, probably out of the gravels for a couple weeks. We're on the backside or downstream side of a large wood jam on the main channel. You can see how this wood jam meters or regulates the amount of flow through here into this side channel. This side channel is used by spawning steelhead and rearing for Chinook and steelhead. You can see as you're looking down through Wiseman Island, there's just a complex mosaic of trees, different ages. So we're walking further down this side channel that was formed by the wood jam up on the main channel. You can see it's going to join up with another side channel that took off from further upstream off the main channel. This complex of side channels and off-channel ponded habitat that's formed by this unconfined floodplain system provides crucial rearing habitat for salmon and steelhead. Salmon and steelhead are poikilotherms. What the heck is a poikilotherm? Well, that's a scientific term for an animal that can only regulate its body temperature through behavioral means. So when the water temperature is cold, body temperatures of fish are cold. In the wintertime, they need to find a quiet, dense spot to hang out because they're only going to be active during a short period of the day. That's why these off-channel ponded habitats with complex cover, as we see as we look upstream, are just critical for salmon and steelhead to complete their life cycles. We're back at the main channel side of that wood jam. Just a great wood jam that activates that secondary side channel. It also creates some super deluxe holding habitat for adult steelhead and salmon as they move upriver. They can hold in this deep pool that's scoured along the face of the wood jam. It's also crazy good habitat for juvenile rearing. The juveniles can dart into the wood to avoid predators and then swim on the margin of the wood jam and feed in the drift. Again, just another example of the uniqueness of the lower North Santiam River. An intact floodplain with the river interacting with wood and trees on the floodplain. This is also a good opportunity to talk about the life cycle of spring chinook. They're a threatened species under the Endangered Species Act. They still spawn and rear in the North Santiam River. 65% of the young juvenile chinook emigrate out as young of the year. And as they head out from their spawning or natal areas, they enter complex habitats like these as they're heading to the ocean and hang out for a couple days to a week to maybe a month, and then they resume their slow journey downstream. So these are important stops for juvenile chinook on their out migration to the ocean. Once in the ocean, they spend 3 to 4 years growing big to return to repeat the cycle. We're standing on the root collar of a 5-foot diameter cottonwood tree. This is the biggest tree I've ever seen on the lower North Santiam River. And it recruited off of the upstream meander bend in about 2016. And it routed down out to where the wetted river channel is. And for 2 winters was out there creating a beautiful scour pool. And if we had more trees like this, the lower North Santiam would be even more complex. We're back on the main wetted channel looking back towards that Mondo cottonwood tree. And as you rotate looking downstream, this formerly used to be a half-mile long riffle. Look at this quiet ponded pool run habitat. When the big cottonwood was out here in the active channel, it started the geomorphic process to get a scour pool in here and create that complexity. Went from like a half-mile long riffle to quarter-mile riffle with a beautiful run pool in the center. Another thing that's awesome about this is it allowed some of these huge steelhead that still inhabit the North Santiam River to use this for holding as it was moving upstream to find a spawning area. And how do we know that? Well, through the use of a distance compensating multi-directional ichthyoprobe, otherwise known as a fly rod, allows us to sample the abundance and size of the population of steelhead currently inhabiting the North Santiam River. With the ichthyoprobe, I documented fish using this run 18.5 to 20 pounds. It takes the steelhead 6 years to reach that size. That's another unique thing about the lower North Santiam River. About 10% of the spawning steelhead population returns as 6-year-old fish. Just a huge, huge diversity and amazing life history trait to still have intact on the lower North Santiam River.